Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Smart City Kids Kindergarten Admissions Workshop. My name is Roxana Reid, and I am one of the K-12 consultants at Smart City Kids. I'm also the founder of Smart City Kids and Smart City Tutors. We so appreciate that you took the time out of your very busy schedule to be with us this afternoon. My understanding is that we have over 100 registered participants, and that we have many, many more who will view our video after our workshop. So we hope that you find this session extremely helpful and that it proves to be informative. I want to share with you a little bit about our company and then turn it over so that our esteemed panelists can give you a little insight into who they are and the schools that they represent. Smart City Kids was founded over 25 years ago, and more formally, a little over 24 years ago. It is a leading consulting firm in New York City. It has created the blueprint, essentially, for what student-centered admissions consulting practice model would look like in New York. And we're really proud of that. We're proud that through our efforts, we've guided families from the nursery school admissions process all the way through college admissions, from boarding school, public school, private special education programs. And we have one guiding principle in mind, and that is that we want students to self-actualize and to meet their academic potential wherever they may lie in the developmental continuum. And because we have so many wonderful schools, we think of it as a privilege to be able to find the right match for that student, that family, as they center around their values in that school. And we think these partnerships matter when families look inward and think about what's important to them and how they prioritize that as they go out into the world to find a really great school. And we love that we're always a part of that conversation. One more key feature about our firm is that all of our consultants were former colleagues of our panelists, which we really are proud of. They have all been in the seat of being former admissions directors themselves, which gives them a unique lens into the characteristic of understanding of the work that it takes to understand admissions. And every one of these guys could attest to how challenging and rewarding it all is, but it's a labor of love. I also want to thank a lot of our partners that support Smart City Kids and have supported us over the last 25 years, starting with NYU, who we've been in partnership with for over 24 years, helping all of their faculty and staff and key administrators land in schools throughout New York City. Memorial Sloan Kettering, who we've been in partnership with for over 20 years. Our newest partner, New York Presbyterian Hospital, and the many, over 34 different schools who have hired us in some capacity to do admissions placement work, from nursery school to middle school to high school admissions placement. We're incredibly proud of that we're the only consulting firm that has been hired by independent schools in New York City to support them through that mission because of their understanding of what we do, along with over 56 now corporations, from BlackRock to Skadden Arps to JP Morgan Chase to Citigroup to Goldman Sachs, all of whom have partnered with us to help them and their employees understand admissions in New York City. I also want to thank my team for helping to organize this workshop. I want to start with Adriana Payne, who I absolutely love and adore, for putting this together, along with Angela Zhang and Sumi and Tessa. I want to now turn this over to our panelists. I want to start with Devin Lassane. I would love for you to share a few thoughts about yourself and your school.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here, and thank you, Roxana, for asking all of us to be on this panel today. So we appreciate that very much. I'm Devin Lassane. I'm the Director of Admissions, Enrollment, and Financial Aid at the Allen-Stevenson School. Allen-Stevenson is a K-8 all-boys school located on the Upper East Side, founded in 1883. We blend tradition with innovation, really as we're looking towards the future of boys' education. We have approximately 350 boys under one roof, and so our setting really fosters a strong sense of community and continuity. I will tell you, at Allen-Stevenson, we know boys. Our mission is rooted in understanding how boys grow, learn, and thrive So with everything from the curriculum to our physical spaces, it's intentionally designed to support boys' development and celebrate who they are through and through. We really try to create an environment where boys are seen, heard, and valued. And our program is built on those 3 A's, the academics, athletics, and the arts. That balanced approach gives each boy the opportunity to explore his interests and discover his passions, whether that's in the classroom, on the field, on the stage. It's really not uncommon to see an Allen-Stevenson boy heading to school with a backpack, a cello, and soccer gear, really ready for the full day of learning and growth. And we encourage our boys to challenge themselves academically, socially, emotionally, because they know that they're in an environment that supports their growth and their learning. And by offering a wide array of experiences, we honor the diversity of boys' personalities and learning styles. And this approach helps them build confidence, resilience, and executive functioning skills, very important, especially as they take on increased responsibilities in the upper division with guidance from our dedicated faculty and student support team. As a result, our graduates are well prepared to succeed at the secondary schools represented here today. So thank you to all of you, in addition to other day schools and boarding schools. So ultimately, we see ourselves as partners with families, working together to raise scholars and gentlemen, boys who are not only prepared academically, but who also grow into thoughtful, engaged citizens who contribute meaningfully to their communities and the world. That's a little bit about us, and we hope that you'll check us out. Should I pass it over to Rachel?
Thank you, Devon, for passing it over. Hi, I'm Rachel Marchese. I'm the Director of Admissions, Enrollment Management, and Financial Aid here at Sacred Heart. And in keeping with what Devon has discussed, we're an all-girls school, pre-K through 12, also on the Upper East Side. And we have about 750 students also under one roof. We are really privileged to have these beautiful buildings that used to be somebody's home. So they're not purpose-built spaces, but beautiful spaces with very interesting architectural details. And they house both of our lower schools and our middle and upper school. We are also very lucky to have a wonderful athletic center, which is just down the road from us, which has an Olympic-sized swimming pool, 2 gyms, a dance studio, and everything you can imagine, all under one roof, where all of our students are able to train and take their PE classes. Sacred Heart is an independent school, first and foremost. We also are a school that identifies as Catholic. About 50% of our families are Catholic, practicing Catholic, and about 50% are practicing other faiths or not practicing at all. And what we ask for our families is they are committed to the 5 goals that serve as our mission here at Sacred Heart. Our 5 goals really look at community, kindness, service, and how our girls show up in the world. It is our goal that our girls show up in the world with their own voice, empowered to make a difference, to care about others, and to be, of course, academically ready to go on and do what they choose to do. So those are the things that we find extremely important here, and something that we think about all the way from our 3s all the way through to 12th grade, which is why we have a really comprehensive service program, which you engage in right from K all the way through to 12th grade. So if you're thinking about a girl making a difference in the world, Sacred Heart is something that embraces that. We say with the privilege of this kind of education is the responsibility to go and do something with it. And that's what we want for our girls. We are on 91st Street, and we'll tell you a little bit more about us as we go, but I will pass it off.
Thank you, Rachel, for passing on. Thank you, Roxana, for having me. Jason Caldwell, Director of Admissions at the Horace Mann School. In addition to being the Director of Admissions, I'm also an alum of Horace Mann. I went to middle school and high school at HM. My brother went to school here, and both my girls attend. My oldest is in 9th grade, my youngest is in 4th grade. They both started in kindergarten. I remember when my youngest started, she came home the first day and said, "Daddy, this is the best school ever, 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 ever. And I'm never, ever, ever, ever leaving." So as you can imagine, I'm really glad that it worked out because that could have been really awkward. Horace Mann is a co-educational independent day school in the Riverdale section of the Bronx. We have about 1,800 plus kids at the schools. We're the biggest independent day school in the tri-state area at any given time, the 5th, 6th, or 7th biggest independent day school in the country. Horace Mann is known for having a pretty rigorous academic curriculum, but it's also known for having a lot of resources. So just as an example, by the time you get to upper division, there are like 93 clubs, 27 different publications, 61 different sports teams. We are very, very fortunate to have 4 campuses at Horace Mann. We have the middle and upper division campus right down the street. We have the kindergarten through 5th grade lower division campus. And the highlight of those campuses are 2 independent freestanding cottages where we have 2 of our kindergartens. We have our nursery division, which is on East 90th Street. And then we have our John Doerr Nature Laboratory, 300-acre plus nature lab in the Washington Depot section of Connecticut, which is available to all of our students and our families as we have family picnics there as well. Horace Mann stands out for a couple of reasons. Once again, I said rigor. 2, resources. 3, community. Community is something that we value here. Something that you'll hear me say, and I sort of beat people over the head with this because it means so much to me. 29 people that I went to school with were at my wedding. I was with 2 of my dearest friends in the world yesterday watching the Knicks, so that's why my voice might be a little bit haggard right now. But that said, while I was very depressed after watching the Knicks, I was really happy to be with my friends. And that's the thing, the friends that you make at Horace Mann really do become your family. Something that we love at the school. Yes, grades are important. Success is important. What is success? Success is being ready to lead a great and giving life. And that's what we prepare students to do at Horace Mann. We want you to go out, pursue your passion, but we also want you to take what you learn and hopefully make the community around you a better place as well. We've had ambassadors, we had attorney generals, we've had people who've helped create the technology for cochlear implants, we've had people who work on the Apple teams that have created the iPod. When you come to Horace Mann, you're going to get the chance to maybe do something really cool in the world. And that's a beautiful thing. And maybe along the way, make some family as well. Who am I passing on to? I think I'm passing on to Jansen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jansen Poe, Director of Preschool and Lower School Admissions at Packer, which is the oldest independent school in Brooklyn. We serve pre-K through 12th grade. And my former role here at Packer was as the head of the pre and lower school. So I do know my alphabet and I know who comes before and who comes after me. So that's something your kids can learn too by coming to Packer. We're just over 1,000 students here in Brooklyn Heights / downtown Brooklyn at the crossroads of basically every major subway line, the 2, 3, 4, 5, A, C, F, G. Some of them run, some of them don't, as we know, who live in Brooklyn. But basically, folks come from all 5 boroughs, as well as Westchester, Long Island, New Jersey, to our all-gender school here that starts with the littles and goes on big. In addition to my various roles here, I'm also the proud parent of 2 current Packer Pelicans. That's our mascot, and soon to be, in a couple of weeks, the mom of a Packer alum. So I've seen the whole trajectory. And so when I tell you from the time they're little to the time they come out on the other end, it really is about living the Packer mission, which is to think deeply, listen actively, speak courageously, and act with purpose and heart. And so those are lots of big words, right? But what it really means is being able to offer our students a balanced curriculum in which there is a tremendous amount of rigor, but also a tremendous amount of care for the social emotional learning of our students. And that together, those pieces allow our students to be self-motivated and self-driven. And that shows up in some of our programs that allow children to experience breadth and depth in all sorts of areas, whether it be through global travel, through independent science research, whether it be leading in the plays, and just my upcoming week of events. I'm sure all of you are experiencing so many events at this time of year for your own little ones, and the experiences speak to it all. I will be going to the magazine launch. I will be going to a Pocket Plays Festival in which a student-driven program invited students to write their own 10-minute plays, direct them, cast them, perform them. We are looking at all our advanced topics classes, doing presentations about their research and the things that they've been doing in the archives. So it's a really extensive opportunity for children to experience really rich academics, and also one of our core values, a great deal of joy in all of it. We hope you'll come check us out. And from here, I pass on to Tasha over at Poly.
Thank you, Jansen. I appreciate that we're staying in the borough of Brooklyn here. Good afternoon, everyone. Although I'm not from New York City, so I'm going to represent Philadelphia and the Sixers. Jason, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. I feel really honored to be here. My name is Tasha Richards. I'm the Director of Admissions, Enrollment, and Financial Aid here at Poly Prep. We are an all-gendered 2-campus school located in Brooklyn. Our lower school, which is our nursery program, our 3-year-olds all the way through grade 4, is situated on a campus in Park Slope that faces Prospect Park. And then our middle and upper school situated on a 25-acre campus in Diker Heights in South Brooklyn. So I think what we like to say is that Poly Prep grows with your child as your child grows. So as our children are small, they're in a smaller campus environment, really that home grandma hug feeling that we have here at our lower school. And as they get older and they're really ready to run around and grow and have all that green space, they matriculate up to our upper campus, which houses our middle school and our upper school, again, on the 25 acres. So really nice opportunities to remain in the city, but have that ability to have that green space and that connectivity with nature on our campus. I would like to also just point out, I feel like for me, thinking about Poly Prep, I have the best of both worlds in this job. I can marry my professional life as well as my personal life, because I too was a parent not too long ago, navigating the independent school process here in New York City for my own 4 children, trying to find the best fit for them. And I think the things that stood out for me as a parent are ones that I get to speak to as a professional in this role, to speak to the things that I think are really special about Poly. I love the fact that the school is incredibly diverse. This is something that to me really struck me and really spoke to me. A school that truly reflects the New York City landscape that we all choose to be a part of here. Because we have extensive transportation, we have about 40 some odd buses that bring students from all 5 boroughs. It really allows our student body and community to be reflective of New York City. I love the diversity of options and explorations. My children are all incredibly different. They are different learners and they have different passions, but yet they can all find a home here. And that's in the academic spaces, the athletic spaces, the art spaces, speech and debate, robotics, whatever it is. It's like sparking something new for them, or something they say like, I got this, is really the lane I want to be in. They can find that here, and all of them can do that right here at Poly, which I appreciate. And then I think finally, just note that community piece. You've heard it from a number of different colleagues that spoke about community, but when you have the ability to bring families together, create different fun activities, whether it's larger campus-wide activities or smaller activities that you're just coming to see your child. I just saw my 6th grader perform in his saxophone recital earlier. Those are special moments, and there are moments for you to not only see the children in terms of all their glory and what they've been working on, but also connect with other families and parents and faculty members and staff that are there to support your child along the way. So what I want to leave you with is Poly Prep to me is a student plus experience. You come here to get a great education, but students here want to do more than just be in the classroom. They want to do something else beyond that. They want to fulfill their civic engagement, their interests, their passions, whatever that looks like. Come here and be a part of something really great. Thank you.
Well, all of these schools sound so great, and I love hearing all the different descriptions. My name's Jenna King. I'm the Associate Head of School for External Affairs at Riverdale. I oversee admissions to pre-K through 12th grade here, and I'm delighted to be with all of you this afternoon. So Riverdale is a pre-K through 12th grade school, as I mentioned, with about 1,300 students spread out on our 2 campuses down the street from Jason here in the Bronx. We have our 8-acre lower school campus for students in grades pre-K through 5, and then we have our 19.5-acre Hill campus overlooking Van Cortlandt Park for our middle and upper school students. We're an all-gender school, about 1 section of pre-K with about 18 students, just over 60 per grade in kindergarten through 5th grade, divided into several sections, 2 teachers in every classroom at our lower school. And then when kids move on to the middle and upper school, we expand in grade 6, we expand in grade 7, and we expand in grade 9. So our overall total in the upper school is about 135 to 140. I feel like one of my best roles here at the school. I've had the opportunity to teach and coach and be in admissions for 20 years, but like some of my other colleagues, I'm also a parent here and having a 9th grader and twin 7th graders this year, all of whom started in pre-K. And my spouse works here too, so we're all in here at Riverdale. And just to describe the school a little bit, we talk in our mission about mind, character, and community. And I think a lot of those words are similar to others that you've heard today. To just let you in a little bit in terms of what those look like here at Riverdale. In terms of the mind, we really feel like our priority is to encourage kids to be curious. They are all growing up in a world where we don't know what their roles are going to look like, and we really want them to understand how to think and how to learn and how to engage and work collaboratively in diverse teams. I would say our academic program could be described with a few phrases, one being high challenge, high support, and a heavy emphasis on experiential and interdisciplinary learning. We really want our kids to walk away knowing how they go about learning in the world. We believe very much that the development of the mind goes hand in hand with the development of character. And I think there are lots of opportunities kids have at the school to develop their character skills, both through direct feedback, but also through different experiences and opportunities, really taking advantage of our campus environment to develop some of those skills. And then lastly, we talk a lot about community. We want every single student, no matter where they're coming from, to feel a sense of belonging here. We're proud to be diverse in many different ways, as are the other peer schools that are here. And what I really want to have happen for our students is that they come here, we see that they have this experience of being in what we would describe as a playground for collective learning. I'm famous for saying that our kids leave here every day dirty, tired, and happy. And I think in this day and age where kids grow up too fast, we want them to have the opportunity to hold on to childhood as long as they can. That being said, it is a rigorous academic experience that will prepare them to really make a difference in the world. Our head of middle school always says we don't want to just wait in line to make a difference. So there are lots of opportunities for them to be able to do that through their work here. So thank you. And I will hand it over to Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Jenna, and thanks for joining this webinar. I'll try to be quick because I know we have so many questions to get to, but my name is Jennifer Levine. I'm the Director of Admissions for Lower School at Trinity, which is K through 4. We are an all-gender school. We serve students grades kindergarten through 12th grade. We are on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and we have about 1,040 students total. The lower school, we're about 308. We are 316 years old. So we were founded in 1709 downtown at Trinity Church, Wall Street. We are an Episcopal school, though we're no longer affiliated with the church or sponsored by any religious body. However, we do have a weekly chapel program to honor our heritage, and it's very celebratory, spiritual, inclusive of all faith. It's moral and value-based. I think it's pretty kid-friendly. It's by division. It's my favorite thing. We're a traditional school in many ways, a lot of structure to the day, teacher-directed model, a set curriculum, uniforms, many wonderful traditions. However, I think we have a nice balance. The student voice is present and loud. Sometimes it's very loud. We laugh a lot. There's so much joy. We do hands-on projects. We teach and appreciate all learning styles. So it's a nice balance. We're learning together as a community. And in addition to academics, the lessons and conversations about identity, equity, inclusion, how we're connected to one another is present in all of our work. Everything we do is derived from our mission statement. So the conversation between student and teacher is the heart of all what we do. We do this extremely well. Critical thinking is something you also hear a lot about. Community. We have a service learning program. So our director of public service and her team have 17 relationships with different organizations nearby Trinity, right here on the Upper West Side. And we learn, we serve, we care, we help, we care for our neighborhood and our neighbors. And it's a wonderful program. Finally, we are an unapologetically intellectual, rigorous, joyful academic institution. You'll hear all of those words from a lot of people. I really urge you to read our full mission statement. You'll hear words and terms such as love, care, joy, diversity, hard work, challenge, and more. Thank you for thinking about Trinity and for thinking about all of our wonderful schools here today. And we hope you come visit with us.
Thank you. I love the pass the mic moment. I'm going to now have it going forward for everyone. So remember your alphabets, y'all. So I want to begin by saying thank you to all of you for your remarks. I'm going to ask a few questions, and then I'm also going to ask the audience to put in the chat room questions if you would like me to also ask our panelists. One of the things that we get a lot in meeting with families, and we meet with a lot of different families, is that they're so confused about how you guys come up with who's the right kid. They're only 4 years old, right? How are you actually making decisions about a 4-year-old for kindergarten admissions? Like, they're all incredibly cute. They're adorable. How dare you consider that one, adds more value than the other? Like, that's an impossible task. So, of course, I'm going to turn the mic over to you because I'm always asked that question. I love that I don't have to answer it today. So can I ask Devin since we started with Devin, to answer the question. And then I'm going to also ask Jenna to also answer the question, just if you will, please.
Yeah. So I like that you started out the panel talking about finding the right match, right? So we have to all agree that every school is going to be a match for a variety of different children. So for us at Allen-Stevenson, I get this question often, oh, how do you know that this is the right boy for this school? And I say, I'm sorry that I'm not going to give you the answer you probably want to hear because I can't tell you this is the archetype. If you were just this child, this will be the perfect fit for Allen-Stevenson. Instead, I'm going to give you a couple of adjectives, right? So for us, we have a pretty broad program. So the boy who is going to dig his heels in and say, this is the only way I do it, I don't want to do it any other way, this is going to be tough for you. We expect our boys to be adaptable and flexible, especially throughout their day. We say you need to be the scientist, and then you're going to have to be the musician, then you're going to have to go play some soccer. Then I want you to be the mathematician, right? And so for the boys that are able to do all of those different transitions, this is a place that's going to fit them. So that's what I would encourage families to continue to do. As they're thinking about their own child and they go around, get to know schools, they have to start to look in those classrooms and say, oh, I can see him in this setting, or I can see my daughter in this setting, really based on the programs. So I know parents are going to hate me for that answer, but that's what it is from my perspective.
I'm already getting a lot of hate. No, I'm kidding. But what is good, though, Devin, is that a lot of the panelists actually nodded their head because they all are in agreement. Jenna, what would you add to amplify that point about this generalist model, like a flexible, adaptable kid is what most schools are looking for? But give me some more insights, because Devin copped out. So give me something else.
It's funny, the flexibility is one of the first words that came to mind for me too. But I think it's very easy as you approach this process to think, as Devin mentioned, that there's one specific child we're looking for. And our job is really to put together an interesting, balanced class. And I say, as someone who's now very outspoken and loud, but who was very quiet and shy growing up, you need those kinds of kids in the classroom. You need the ones who are going to be jumping in and getting involved. And so we're looking for different personalities. Our interview process involves kids coming in small groups. And so we get to observe them in a group setting, like a classroom setting, and then we also get to work with them one-on-one. I think it's important to note that we recognize kids are coming from different nursery schools who have different preparation and different emphases in what they've been working on. And so in terms of their skills, we are looking for school readiness, but I think what is showing up in terms of some kids are ready to read already, some kids are not, and that's okay. I think we're happy to accept a variety of skills, but it's that sort of readiness to learn, readiness to engage, readiness to work with the teacher and to work collaboratively with peers. Those are things that we are looking for and that we get to observe in that process. I sometimes have families ask, why was my child not considered? And I like to do it from a more positive perspective of why did your child stand out in the process? Why did we think that they would be ready? I think for us, the last thing I'll say is being a campus school, we do need kids who have that sturdiness, steadiness, readiness to engage in a long day. And I think you can tell that through the interview experience. And we do get a lot of information from the sending schools as well. I just think it's worth noting that there are many different factors and many different inputs that come into this process as we're reviewing a student. And so I just think it's important for families to understand that. I also will just add quickly, we are thinking about the family, right? And the family interest in the school. And so part of our process is the student interview, but there's also the parent interview. And for us, I'd say it's less of a parent interview and more of a conversation, but we are trying to get a sense of your values, your interests, the things that matter to you, because we do want to be aligned. 5 minutes ago, I just got a text from our 9th grade dean, and she said, oh, this parent is just so lovely to deal with. And usually if I'm going to get a text from the dean, it might be the opposite of, oh, this parent is bothering me. But I think we are looking for those parents who are partners and who see things. Again, we want to acknowledge all perspectives, but who share the school's values and who are looking for the things that we can provide. And I think a lot of that comes across through the parent interviews. So I know that's long-winded, Roxana. I hope I'm getting at what you're looking
You definitely are. And you move right into my next question, which is what are you looking in when you're looking at the parent in their interview? But I do have another question. And this one's specifically for you and Jason, because you guys add to your process the FLI, right? And so this is another question, and I'm sorry I'm throwing this curveball, but I do like giving folks answers. And I think I want to understand, how does that piece amplify this question of what are you looking for in a student? I can start with Jason.
Go ahead,
So
Jason.
about 5 years ago, as ERB was sunsetting their assessment that they were using, Horace Mann in conjunction with Riverdale, and we also work with Harlem Academy now in terms of schools in New York City. I know some other schools are now considering it. We made a decision that we wanted another piece of information, essentially, another assessment outside of our own programs to show us where students' skills were. It's not an aptitude test. It's not telling us how necessarily intelligent a child might, but just giving us a sense of where their skills might be and how, once again, I hate to beat a dead horse, how a child might fit academically in our program. Because here's the thing, our programs was Horace Mann, Riverdale, Harlem Academy. We have all these things you can enjoy. You have all these different programs. You have all these wonderful people, but we want to make sure that the work fits where your child is right now. I think that that's the really critical phase, where your child is right now at that moment. It doesn't mean that, hey, if the FLI doesn't go well, or maybe if other things that we see in terms of your child's skills, maybe they're not where they need to be at that moment to fit our school. That doesn't mean that won't change in the future, but we want to make sure that we can accommodate your child because, hey, first rule of thumb, do no harm. At the end of the day, if a child is not in a school where they're right fit academically, that's not good for a child's social emotional development. And so the two really go hand in hand.
Thank you. And FLI is a test that's administered for admissions for kindergarten. And there are 3 schools now that use it, including Riverdale and Horace Mann, who are part of our panel. I want to extend the conversation to the other part of the framework of admissions, which folks are very interested in understanding. And that is, why are you bothering parents in this process, right? The kids are going to school. Why y'all keep bothering the parents? What do you want to know? What's with the interviews and the essays and what's up? Why are you so interested in the parent component of this? Who would care to share some thoughts? The floor is yours, Rachel and Latasha.
Thank you. I can start. I mean, we really think about parents because we think about partnership. At the very front and foremost of what we want for your child is success. And I would say, as a parent of 2 children, one in college and one about to go to college, it's not a matter of a bump in the road, whether it's going to happen. It is going to happen. You're going to have a bump in the road on your child's journey in school. It could be social, it could be academic, it could be all sorts of things that you don't see coming. And that bump could be little, it could be big. And what you want is a school that partners with you, that you have open communication, you can have access to teachers, to deans. Those people who are caring for your child day to day is who you want to be in partnerships with. So when we think about admissions, and especially for children who are so young, we can only assess a certain amount of potential that they would have within our schools. What we want to know is that in our 13 or 8-year relationship, we are going to be able to communicate and put at the very front the benefit of the child or the well-being of the child. And so this is why we want to talk to parents to understand, where are your values? What do you care about here? If you have a school that doesn't value a certain element and that's something that you really want, then we want to make sure that we're talking about that, right? Some schools value some things over others. And that's a piece that we want to make sure that we're all in alignment with. As I think Jenna said, we don't all have to think the same way. We value perspective, we value difference within your family, within your community that you represent. In fact, that's what we want in our schools. But we also want to know, when we come to dealing with issues of your children and where they might be going and what they're doing and things that happen in school, that we're on the same page on and that we can communicate really well. So that's part of what we think about when we're assessing or thinking about getting to know, I should say, parents. There's really no assessment in parents. We call it getting to know you, to understand who you are. And that's what's really important for us.
Thank you. Latasha, you want to add?
I think Rachel said it beautifully. I mean, I think value alignment is key. Partnership is key. I had a parent friend tell me that a school really shows who they are when things are not going well and how they partner with the family, the student, et cetera, around helping navigate a tricky situation or something that may be difficult for the child. So I think that's really important. I think the other thing I would just add to amplify is I like getting to know parents because I like getting to meet new people, learning about who they are, what they're about, what makes them tick. We get to meet really interesting people that are doing really interesting things out here in the world. And I think it's a beautiful thing to have a community of difference and perspectives and language that are spoken at home and educational backgrounds and what families are looking for. I think those are really fantastic elements and attributes of a community. And we're looking for all of that. I think that it's such a joy for students in particular to be surrounded by lots of different types of folks and different types of families that they can build those connections and those lifelong friends that Jason talked about and those real aha moments that they get to learn from each other. And I think learning about a family and what that looks like to them is really important throughout the process as well.
I have a question, and I've been posing this question in other panels, and I think it's important to roll it out again, which is, what's the value proposition? I've been living in this city for a long time, and there was a time when kindergarten public schools were not that great, and they're flourishing. There are lots of different public schools that are really doing a great job across the city. And so the question is, what's the value proposition in lower school for an independent school education? Jensen, you rolled right up with your hand.
I think my colleagues here have pretty much named it already in the previous answers. What we're talking about in a value proposition here is that partnership, is that ability to really know children, meet them where they're at, work with families, align values to meet the needs of the child and to give them the tools, the resources, tremendous amount of resources to be held and also launched to fly and become independent as well, and to know who they are, to be able to drive their own learning in that future that none of us can predict. Like, we don't know what's going to be there, that they will have the tools to be able to navigate unknown territory. And some of it is very concrete. When you talk about a value proposition, it's having 2 teachers in a classroom, sometimes more than that, right? It's being able to have that exposure to a huge variety of opportunities, not just in school, like music and dance and PE, health, and all those things in school, but also what the family community brings as well. The opportunity to have potlucks, to join each other at excursion to the park, to know one another's families. All of these resources are the things that help a child be known, be seen, be supported, and become the contributing members of a community and society at large that we're looking for. And an independent school education with these kinds of resources are what enable that.
I just was gonna echo, and then I'll pass it to Jason. Being seen, known, loved, heard. Trinity is a pretty big place, and I think a lot of our schools are a very people-intensive place. So you have 2 science teachers, 3 art teachers, 2 music teachers. There's so many. In addition to those teachers in the classroom in a smaller class size, there's so many other wonderful adults to know, love, and care for your child and be somebody for them in addition to their classroom teacher. And in addition to the resources and our wonderful physical plants and the gyms and the pools and the arts, everything, paying attention to the whole child and everything what makes us human, I think it comes to the resources. But I echo everything Jansen says. And Jason, I know you had your hand up.
Sure. So while outspoken and I'm kind of represented for Horace Mann, we're pretty outspoken, we're pretty humble. And when I take a look at my own experience, while I love it, I'm pretty humble when talking about my own experience as a student. But then your kids go to a school, and I'm very, very fortunate to have connections, personal connections to Packer Collegiate, to Riverdale. My wife works at Riverdale. My oldest daughter started kindergarten right away at Horace Mann. Because of my youngest daughter's birthday, she went to one of the best public schools in the city. There was no comparison. And I cannot stress that enough in terms of the attention that you get at these schools. people will know your child. Once again, let me say it. People will know your child. My daughter went to one of the best public schools in this city. And hands down, the attention, the community, the ways in which they got her, and because of that, what has been unlocked in her skills, her social emotional development, her academic skills, unparalleled. And I understand it's hard. I'm not crazy. I understand that this is a huge investment that people are making, and it's hard. People work very hard to make the sacrifice to send their children to these schools. But I'm telling you, from a parent that does it, it's worth it.
And I think in a seminar that I had for a school that I work for, one of the things that I think it was you, Latasha, who did this in that seminar, you did something great, which is to remind everyone that every single one of you actually offers financial aid, that there's a significant investment in every one of these schools towards ensuring that there is some opportunity for families to have access to independent schools through the instrument of financial aid when families qualify. And I urge everyone who is in need to avail themselves of that opportunity. It's written right on the application. You click that box and it directs you immediately to access and to have conversations with the folks in admissions about it so that you can get what Jason and Jennifer and Jansen have spoken about, which is an unparalleled experience. I want to segue to another question, which I think leads a little bit to this, which is New York City independent schools have traditionally been the leaders in the national conversation around diversity, equity, and inclusion. How has your school continued to stay on mission in this current climate? The question that I get asked most, and I'm just going to say it is a little bit controversial, is that school too woke? And I'm always like, what does that even mean, school too woke? But it's a new thing, and it's coming up a lot in my meetings. And I'm just wondering about where folks are, because the climate and landscape has shifted.
I'm happy to jump in, and I would love
Yeah.
to chat about this a little bit. The climate it's hard out here, right? And so I'm glad that we're all acknowledging that. I will say personally here at Allen-Stevenson, we're deepening our commitment to DEIB because at the end of the day, we're a people place, right? We are here to support our families, our students, support our faculty and staff in uncertainty. So that's one thing I want to just reiterate. For us, we've expanded actually our affinity groups because there are needs now that are coming up, especially as we're thinking about anti-Semitism and we're thinking about all of these things. There are folks that are like, oh, I need support around this. I need folks that are in alignment with me here. And so we are trying to meet the needs for our students, really. We're centering them first and foremost. And we also just create more family gatherings, community gatherings, just things where folks can feel like I have that safety. And then the other thing is that we are doing on either side, right? We want to ensure that there is a DEIB commitment to alums and also in the work that we're doing here in admissions as we're bringing folks in and as they are leaving our school, really ensuring that there is support throughout there. But we've taken it up a notch, which is hard as an independent school specifically right now.
I would agree with a lot of what Devin shared. I think for us in 2018, we developed a campus discourse guide, and we really doubled down on that. We're pretty frank about sharing it with our families, with posters in the wall, just reminding kids around the idea of considering multiple perspectives and what it looks like to engage in meaningful discourse and conversation. And in some ways, I actually have heard that even though people sometimes question how much diversity there is in an independent school, I actually think that in this day and age, at times, our communities are often more diverse than what families might find in a neighborhood local school. And I think we're eager to encourage people from multiple backgrounds. We want that group to be part of our community. And to echo what Devin shared, I think the piece around belonging is the most critical piece. We want everybody, regardless of what background they're bringing, to feel a sense of belonging, and we enable that environment by helping kids and frankly families and teachers understand what we mean by productive conversation and discourse. And I think we have to model that for kids. And I think we constantly do that no matter what. It doesn't even have to be about a heated issue. We're trying to just help kids engage in these skills of disagreeing with someone over something minor and silly. And once you practice in that realm, then it helps you have those skills to be able to do that as you get into more controversial or complicated topics. So that's been key for us. Really think this goes back to that whole piece of what we're looking for. We're looking for families who are going to share those values with us. And again, it doesn't mean they have to think the same way, but they have to be willing to engage in a place that's going to share and show multiple perspectives.
Thank you. I so appreciate the answer. I will ask one other question, and that is the notion of whether to share or not to share. This comes up often as well, which is a child may have some kind of learning difference, and the parents may fear its impact on admissions. And they wonder how much they should share and how it will impact the child's admissions profile in your school. These are intimate, personal conversations, obviously, but I wonder what you think about that.
I would just jump in and just say sharing and having an honest relationship partnership. We talk about fit and match. Trinity, for example, you need to be okay with big spaces, with noise. It's a big campus, quick transitions. We're a language-heavy school. Just because you may be working on something doesn't mean that you wouldn't be a strong candidate for our school, but everyone's working on something, right? But we want to determine fit and match. We want to know that a child is going to adapt beautifully to our program, will adapt really well, and will thrive here. And we want that to happen. In the early years, you need that strong foundation. And maybe there's a child who can use a school that still has academic rigor and challenge, but maybe it's just a little bit smaller, or the class size is smaller, or the pace is not as quick, or whatever anybody's working on. And guess what? Everyone's working on something, kids and adults alike. I would encourage sharing, having an honest conversation with the admissions team. If you're at a sending school, we can talk to the school, but I think that fit and match is real. We've talked a lot about it. And I think especially when the kids are younger, they need to be in that right space where they're going to thrive to the best of our ability. And just to remember, last thing is we all work with our committees, and our committees are composed of teachers and educators who deeply care about children. And there are a lot of children that go to my school and any of these schools that have some areas of learning differences or challenges they're working on. And they're here and they're working hard every day and they're thriving in many, many ways. But I think it's a good conversation to have. And I think it may be hard and you're making yourself vulnerable, but I would encourage anybody to share.
I would say that historically, it's been true that having an open communication and dialogue has served students extremely well. I know it's scary, but on the other side of that, I think you guys have always felt really good about an open and honest conversation and finding out ways in which you could actually support the student. And if you can't, you then share that as well. On the other side of that, when the student does go to a school that is not a good fit, it's a lot of pain and chaos, and I'm the recipient of that, unfortunately. I get calls from schools saying, could you help us find another home for this student? And that's not a fun conversation. So avoid it all by being honest and transparent and authentic, which is the most important part of this. I think I heard that word enough, but authenticity matters in this process. It's incredibly important. I think I have one last question, and I'm going to ask you guys to be incredibly brief on this one, but it's worth it. And that is, there's a myth about each and every one of your schools that I know you know about. I know you have got to be self-reflective. I know it. I've been working with you guys for decades, so I know you know it. Tell me a myth about your school that you'd like to debunk in this meeting. You could out yourself and then clean yourselves up at the same time. I love it.
I'm happy to start. I will say that folks sometimes say, oh, Allen-Stevenson isn't rigorous enough. Oh, you clearly haven't been in our classrooms. And as I started at the outset, all of the schools here that are K-12, our boys are attending. And so we are preparing them for that secondary school process. We are really getting to know them very well, getting to know what makes them tick, stretching them. And so I think when you come into this space and you see how the learning happens, it may look different. And we are here to help educate you on what it looks like and why we teach the way we teach and how we engage our boys.
That's right. How about you, Jensen? What's the myth that you want to bust?
Sometimes I hear the playground talk is you can't get in, don't bother. And it's not just a Packer thing. It's something about the myth around the accessibility of independent school. So back to what you were saying before, Roxana, like that is, I think, a theme across all our schools. We are looking to support a wide range of families. There is no one type, and our goals are around providing a wonderful education for all kinds of kids. So providing that access and a sense of belonging when you're here doing it.
So you're telling me that you have 40 spots. And that's
Just for you, Roxana.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Jennifer, what's your myth that you want to bust?
I had two. I was going to say also that, nobody gets in. No, don't even bother. And a lot of our schools do care about siblings, faculty, staff, alumni. We see ourselves as a community, as a family school. But we absolutely ensure that we have spaces for families that are not affiliated with our school. We ensure that every single year. So there are spaces, not a ton. It's a competitive process, but we have new families joining our school every single year. So that is a myth. And the other thing I was going to say is that there are opportunities for girls to be leaders, and they're in STEM, and they're in math, and they're in science. And I had a couple of questions about that last year. And I think you can get a great education at all of our schools and lots of different kinds of schools, but just ask your questions. But those are two things that came to mind.
Okay, you heard it here first. Trinity has 50 spots for kindergarten, you guys. You heard
Again,
it here
all
first.
for you, Roxana. All for you.
Jason, what's the myth you want to bust?
I don't know if anyone out there has ever heard this about Horace Mann, that we are a competitive, meat grinding, pressure cutthroat place. I will be very, very simple. While I love my school and I love my environment, the first hat I always wear is that of dad. Both my girls attend this school. I would not send my girls to that school. Okay? I think sometimes people think that it's a binary choice, that if a school is academically challenging, it must be devoid of joy. There must not be any support. Must not be hugs and cuddles and people loving your children. I've never walked out of a meeting with a teacher for my kids where I was not sure that they completely, with their full hearts, loved my kids. And that's something I love. I've never talked with my kids about their interactions with their friends or their classmates and haven't watched them pick other people up and watch other people pick them up too. And so I love that about this school.
Thank you. Rachel, tell me what's the myth?
Oh, this is an easy question for me because I think that the myth is that we are a convent and that we're run by nuns and it's draconian and there's no fun, no joy, nothing happening here, and it could not be farther from the truth. We are a Catholic school. We also are an interfaith community. We are also have so much joy in our classrooms. Kids are moving around and using manipulatives and running in the halls, and it really is a wonderful and joyous place. And it is a place that exists in New York City in today. And so I really encourage parents to look beyond that piece and come in, take a look, walk through the halls and really see that piece. I went to Sacred Heart in Australia when I grew up, and I can tell you it was draconian and it was nuns, and I did get a slap on the knuckles for many things that I did, but that is not the case anymore and not who we are. So for me, I would encourage that piece. I think there's also a piece, and maybe Devin would speak to this as well, about single gender education on the Upper East Side. And I think that that is also a myth because many of our students, most of our students, kind, wonderful, engaged people in the world. And that's what we expect of our students. So this whole idea of girls being together and cliquey and whatever, it really is an old, out-fashioned, outdated look at single gender education.
Thanks for that one, Rachel, because that one comes up a lot too. Thank you. I appreciate that. Jenna, what's the myth?
I think for us being a campus school, we sometimes have people thinking that it's hard for parents to be involved and it's hard to have a sense of community. And I think that's something that I actually think because we have families in lots of different zip codes, we're very intentional about creating community and very intentional about creating opportunities for parents to engage in meaningful ways at school, whether it's volunteering at one of our heritage celebrations or coming in for one of our learning shares or plays, and then never mind all of the additional family events and parent events. But I think sometimes people feel like if you're not going to a neighborhood school, it can be hard to be involved. And I think it's probably almost anywhere you go, your next school community is going to have people from lots of different neighborhoods, and all of our schools are thinking about ways that we can engage the whole family. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Thank you. That's actually helpful because I get that statement a lot about your school. Natasha, tell me the myth about this one.
The myth about poly prep, I would say our school has endured incredible success on the athletic side here for quite some time. But I think the myth is that we are a focused athletic school. And I think that there's so much more to poly than just their athletic successes on the fields. I think back to a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting in our middle school musical. It was Newsies this year, which I love. And my daughter, who's going to be a new 5th grader here next year, sat next to me, and she's the musical theater loving, piano playing dancer. And she was like, I can't wait to do that next year. And so to me, when I think about all the different types of kids that go to our school, for whatever reason, athletic competitive teams is not their jam. They're able to find a lot of different ways to fulfill the things that they're interested in. And I think it just makes a really wonderful community of different types of kids and exploring and having different passions. And so I think that's probably a myth. I think it comes with campus facilities and all those things. And then obviously some of the successes that Poly has endured. But I would just encourage families. These schools have been around for a really long time. They have a lot of historical representation and reputations, but schools evolve. And thank goodness that they do over time. So many of us, including myself, who went to independent schools, I am so grateful that schools have evolved over the last 10, 20, 30, 50 plus years in terms of who they are and the communities in which they serve. So I would just encourage folks to really get to know all of our schools as they are full schools today.
Thank you. We're actually at the end of our workshop. I want to thank the panel. I actually want to mark that Jenna, Jason, and Jennifer, you guys have done panels with us for now more than a decade, which is incredible. And I want to thank you for being a part of the experience for more than a decade. And I want to thank Jensen, Devin, Rachel, and Latasha for also continuing your work with us in doing panels. We really appreciate it. I hope you're okay with our style. And I hope that the folks who are listening got something out of this. Again, I ask everyone to focus on your family, to focus on your values, to make this journey very, very personal, because it might likely be for 13 years, in some cases for 9 years. In the case of Allen-Stevenson. And so just think about what's important to you and your family and try to zero in on that and no one else as you go through this, because we have a lot of different options. They're incredible. We're so lucky to live in this city, not like Rachel and I, who had to go to one school, that Catholic girls' school, and that's it. We're in our country. So enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. This is great. It's wonderful. All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.